Well, how's it going today? We have another bike that we purchased. So we have a 2012 BMW S1000RR. Was in kind of a light crash. I'll go over the story with you, but the damage to the bike is just a left mirror. Some rash right here, broken lever, bar end mirror, fairing, turn signal, little scuff right there. It's really good shape. Not hardly any damage at all. You look here, there's no damage on this, no damage here. The spool's in good shape. So a little bit on the foot peg. So I bought this out of Denver, Colorado Coparts, and I had it shipped to Oregon. Cost me about $700. Paid $5,258 for it out the door. So when I bought it, the ignition switch, you'd turn it on and nothing happened. See, now it powers up, but you would turn it on and nothing would happen. So I checked the voltage on the battery, and the voltage was up. I started doing some digging around, and I found that the wiring harness had melted down. So replaced the fuse, fixed the wires, and now it turns on, fires up, and runs awesome. So what I think happened was that this was the person was having problems with the wires were starting to melt because there was a baggie in the trunk with extra fuses and a fuse puller. This is a little sandwich baggie, so obviously wasn't factory BMW stuff. So I think that they were having problems till one day it just melted down so much that they couldn't fire it up. So what they did, I believe, because I find it hard to believe that you have a bike that won't start or won't even power up, how would it get all the rash? I think they tipped it over. I think they didn't want to pay to get it fixed, thought it would be really expensive, and they tipped it over in their driveway. Called the insurance company and had them total it out, because I just don't see how it could get all this rash without the bike being running, and I don't see the crash causing that to melt. Maybe, I guess anything's possible, but nevertheless I have it here. This is a good bike. I think you know, I think the cost of all the parts to get this back together, you know, probably talking $120, $120 for this piece. We'll say $30 for that. Do you even need to fix that? I don't know. Do you even need to fix this piece? I wouldn't. Bar end, you know, that's cheap, $10. Clutch lever, we'll call it $30 on the high end. So, you know, $5,800. You could have this sucker back on the road. You know, what's it worth? You know, Blue Book, I don't know what Blue Book says, but you know, it does have a reconstructed title, so you've got that for resale. But man, this would be a great bike for your personal, and to have this bike for under $6,000, that's pretty good. It's a pretty good price. That's pretty cheap. But, and then if you wanted to sell it, you know, what's it worth? You know, I'm sure it's worth every bit of $8,000 or $9,000 with a reconstructed title, even though there's really nothing wrong with it. It's not like the frame's bent. But I bet you it's worth 8 or 9, maybe 10. Who knows what you could get. But for me, I'm gonna part it out. I'm gonna take all the parts off it, put it on eBay. So if you guys want to see how it goes, keep following along. We'll tear it down. I'll show you guys what it takes. Let's get started. So we got it on a stand here. Normally I like to put it on a front stand, and I will, but to access the yoke, I've got to take some brake lines off. So we're gonna see right there. We're gonna get started with, we're gonna pull the fairing and pull the seats and get started with that. So we'll come down. The fairing's pretty self-explanatory, you know, pull all the screws and pull the side fairings off. Next, see, we got that off, the fairings off. We'll pull the front piece, the two sides, and the tail. Super easy, just slides right off. So now we got the fairing off. Work on the front here in a minute. We're sucking the gas out of the gas tank, and then we're going to pull the gas tank. You got two hoses right here to pull off. Got a bolt, one on each side, and then this bolt, and the whole tank slides up and off. All right, we got the gas tank out. It's just unplug the hose and two electrical connections. Pretty easy. So now I'm going to pull the tank, or pull the fuel pump. So undo all these and slide the fuel pump out. Next, we're going to go after this. I'm going to take the windscreen, all these bolts off, and the mirrors right here and right here. So we took the bolts out right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now slide this off, but looks like looks like we have some cables that go back here. So I'm gonna pull this apart and see what maybe I can unplug these cables. Well, I'm gonna go after the airbox. So I'm gonna pull the ECU, pull the airbox mounts, pop this off. Well, it looks like this plug goes right here, comes in here, and it's part of this main harness. So I don't think that plugs. So I'm going to try and peel off the cover, the front cover. So it looks like one, and there's one down there, one down there. Then, oh, looks like there's one there too. I don't know how I'm going to get to that one. Oh. Yeah, how do you get to that? Well, oh, I see. Looks like maybe you pull the headlight off. So you take 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the gauge cluster comes off, or the headlight comes off of the bracket. Okay, we'll do that. All right, that popped off. Now to remove the gauge cluster and this mount, we'll pull, unplug. Looks like you unclip. There's probably a screw somewhere. No, it's just this clip. Unplug, unclip. Got that off. Come over here to the headlight. I'm going to undo those screws right there and pull the headlight out of the fairing. So next, I want to put my stand up here, so need to unbolt this brake manifold, front brake manifold, just one screw right there, and then I can get my stand in there. So I'm going to unbolt that and put the front stand up. I'm going to take the coolant reservoir off, then I'm going to drain the engine oil and the engine coolant. So we got the oil draining, the coolant dumping. Now I'm going to suck the oil out of the brake system. Just going to put my sucker on here and suck the brake system. So that's empty. Now we're going to go after the rear brake. I have my sucker thing hooked onto the caliper. I'll suck it out, and that one will be empty. Okay, now I'm going to pull the calipers off. So you undo the brake line and the two bolts on each side and pop your calipers off. So we're going to pull the front axle, loosen these two bolts, and I got this cool little tool that fits that. Get these on eBay, and we'll unscrew it and slide the axle out. Next, we're going to take the front fender off. A couple bolts on each side. One there, there, and the whole fender just pops right off. Well, sometimes you spend hours on getting one bolt out. That one just did not want to come out. So anyways, we're start taking all this off. Take the heated grip off, two screws that hold this on, undo the clutch, and the bolt that holds that on. And slide all this off. Well, sometimes you spend hours on getting one bolt out. That one just did not want to come out. So anyways, we're start taking all this off. Take the heated grip off, two screws that hold this on, undo the clutch, and the bolt that holds that on. And slide all this off. Okay, this whole thing slides off like this. There is a cover. You pop this cover off. Now you've got 3 plug-ins in there. These 3 plug-ins come out, and you've got your micro switch for your clutch. It's got to be unscrewed. Kind of a pain in the ass. So we're going to go after this piece. So it looks like we have pull that big bolt out, pull this weight off, unscrew. This looks like all one piece here, so looks like there's a couple screws under here, and take the cable apart, pop the cable off, and then this whole thing will slide off. Then these 2 bolts and that bolt, and the front brake master cylinder will come off. Got both bars cleaned off. We're going to take top triple clamp off. So undo this, undo this, undo that bolt, and then this pops off, and then each bar will slide off. Alright, next we're going to pull the front forks. So you unloosen these 2, this fork slides out, these 2, fork slides out. Next, I'm going to pull the air box off out of the way. So I'm going to pull the fuel rail off the secondary injectors, take these screws out, pop this rail off, and then the box will come off. Be out of the way. Next, let's go off to the subframe. So we'll start by taking off the foot pegs. So there's 2 bolts there and 2 bolts there. Now I'm going to work on removing this traction control ECU, a couple bolts, then it unplugs, and then I'll pull this fuse block. You got these push pins, a couple zip ties, then all this will lay forward. Probably pull this piece out of the way also, a couple bolts there. Alright, next we're going to go after the ABS pump. Looks like it's a bolt there, a bolt there. Undo all these hoses, and then it'll pick up, and then it'll be easier to get the plug off once you get it out of the way. So we're going to go off to the subframe next. Got 2 bolts there, 1, 1, 1, 1. Then we've got this guy down in here that holds a brake line on. We got to get that off. Then the whole subframe should pop right off. Alright, we're going to go after the rear wheel. So we'll start with the rear fender and then the rear brake. So you got a bolt. Looks like that comes off, stays. Okay. So we'll take the hose off, and then grind the chain off and pull the rear wheel. So I'm going to remove the chain, ground the pins off. We'll take an air hammer and just pound it in, or a punch would work. You just pound in the pins and it pops out. Alright, so now we'll take the rear wheel off. I think it's one of these sizes. There we go. So spin this nut and slide the axle out. Okay, so next I'm going after the Vortex rear sets. You got a bolt here, and then I'm going to pull this off, and then you got to unplug this wire right here. So it's pretty easy. Pop this side off, and then we'll do the other side, which has the brake on it. So undo brake hose and then the 2 bolts that hold it on. Now I'm after the radiator and the oil cooler. So I'm going to pull all the hoses, 1, 2, 3 hoses. Electrical connection here. Pop this clip out. Pull this clip. Pull these connections off here. This hose and this hose. And it should just pop right off. Alright, we're going after the header next. So you take all the header bolts off, which that's pretty self-explanatory. Then come down here, we're going to loosen that clamp and pop the muffler off. But there should be a mount that holds this somewhere. Oh, looks like somebody has taken it out. So the mounts have been unbolted. So it should just pop right off. Next, we are going after the kickstand. And there's 2 bolts. 1, 2. And then we have this wire runs up here. I already unplugged it. Looks like it's connected here, so I don't want to break anything. I'm gonna just pull this front cover off. Okay, I'm ready to pull the engine. So what I'm gonna do, we got 1, 2, I believe this one goes all the way, 3, 4, 5, 6. The other ends of these. So we'll put a jack under here, and we'll take the bolts out. We'll lower the engine down away from the frame. So let's get started. All right, got the engine out. Went pretty smooth. Wish I had a cameraman. I would have filmed it for you guys. So next we will work on the swing arm. So I will take it off the frame and take this bolt, and then take the main pin, and then looks like there's a bolt right here for your dog bone. Take that out, and you'll probably have to back this one off because there's adjusters that hold it tight. I think that's what that is. We'll give it a shot. Alright, we're almost there. Only thing left is the front yoke or triple tree lower. So pretty simple. Just take this nut off, and there's, oh, sometimes there's tabs you got to spin off there, but this time there isn't. That off. Well, we have the steering dampener to take off, so I'm going to take that bolt out and the rest will pop out. Well guys, that's it. It's all of the parts. Bike's totally tore down. This is the rear wheel. Well, if you like this content, like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. You guys have